and wait for everyone to come on board. Let us know when you come in. Use the chat and let us know where you're from, if you're a handler, if you're a facility. And we'll get started here in a few minutes. Oh, we have someone from Nashville. We all brought our dogs, but mine's decided to be camera shy. She's on the floor. All right, we have Minneapolis. Hi, Christy. Hi, Erica from Southern Hills Hospital in Las Vegas.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, there you go, Sue.
And Christy.
Like I said, we're just gonna kind of hang out here for a minute and then we'll get started. Let everybody kind of log in. Hi, Ashley. I'm sure it's hot in Tucson too. And Megan from Phoenix. Hello, Megan. Hi, Janet out in Los Angeles. I'll let a few more people come on board and we'll get going. St. Paul, Minnesota. Hi, Jim and Dee. Hi, Sherry in Wyoming. We're kind of starting to spread all over the country. Well, that's nice. It's beautiful today, Ashley. It's actually beautiful in Texas, too. It's not as hot today. It cracks me up because they call it a cold front when they talk about it dipping into, like, I don't know, the high 80s or low 90s. Being from Illinois, being from Illinois, I'm like, that's not a cold front.
Now, I don't see the comments that you do, so I'm clicking on public and I see nothing. So there's nothing.
Okay.
I'm seeing them.
I'm not. I just see the host chat, but not public. So I miss anything, not a big deal.
Okay. I'll let you know if someone posts a question for you. So again, a reminder, we want you to post questions to us in the chat and we can take those and hopefully answer them during our Facebook Live. We were just going to let a few more folks jump in and we'll get started here in about another 30 seconds or so. We have a lot to cover today, but we'll try not to keep you too long. Ooh, Kathleen in Alaska. Nice. Thank you for joining us today.
Alaska.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today we're talking about what visiting looks like now. After we've all gone through this thing called COVID, things were different during COVID and look different after COVID. I'm here with Diane and Sue, and they're going to introduce themselves here in a little bit. I'm Colleen Stoner. I'm a senior program coordinator here at Pet Partners, and I've been with Pet Partners for 2 years. I live in Granbury, Texas, and I have a 10-month-old beagle, Willow, who's being camera shy. I even put her bed in camera shot, but of course she's not going to be on camera. I'm working with her, training her to become a therapy animal, hopefully. I don't think she'll be ready at a year, but we'll get there. Appreciate everybody joining. Like I said, submit questions if you have them as we're going along, and we'll try and make sure that Sue and Diane know those so they can answer those questions. I also, just a quick reminder, I wanted to remind you about the Volunteer Opportunity Directory. For those of you that are handlers and joining us, the Volunteer Opportunity Directory got very stale for a while during COVID, as you can imagine. There is a lot of activity going on in there. We get requests on the daily from different facilities who are ready for visits. A lot of in-person, still a lot of alternative and virtual, but a lot of in-person visits are coming back. So we're very excited about that. It's tripled. The number of posts have tripled in the last couple of months. So that's very cool. Like I said, today we're talking about the impact of COVID on therapy animal visits and what it looks like now that we're returning to visiting and some things that we did during COVID. And we're here with Sue Grundfest and Diane Prange. And I'm going to have these ladies tell us a little bit about themselves. Diane, you want to start first?
Okay, I'm Diane Prange, and occasionally in the screen is my Siberian Husky. Michigan. I've been a Pet Partners member since 2015. I'm currently an evaluator, handler, advocate, and AACR member. And I have 4 Siberian Huskies. 2 of them are Pet Partners registered, and 2 are puppies. And they'll probably be able to test in about 7 or 8 years, given that they're Siberians. And I also am involved with a local group called North Star. We have over 200 members, 7 species, and we're very passionate about having younger people get involved. And we're offering scholarships to get the youth involved in the next generation of handlers with Pet Partners.
Nice. Sue?
I'm Sue Grundfest. We're with Pet Partners of Las Vegas. We are a community partner. I've been involved with animal therapy with Pet Partners over 15 years and in the field for 25. I'm an instructor, evaluator, AACNR crisis team. I currently have 3 Pet Partner registered teams. This is my Benny. This is Hildy. You don't need the card for Teddy because he's going to participate today. This is Teddy. We have a thriving program here in Las Vegas, and we have currently 4 or 5 different species.
Nice. Thank you. So you can see, our audience can see, we have a wealth of experience here today to talk to you. So when we're just kind of going to have a discussion back and forth and talk about various things. When COVID first became a reality, we could see at Pet Partners that it was, going to be here for the long run. And we had to kind of figure out how is this going to impact our teams and what are we going to do? One of the first things that we did was provide a 1-year extension for all therapy animal teams, all active teams, because we knew finding a team evaluation or holding a team evaluation was really going to be impossible and not safe. We also got busy creating materials to help our handlers do virtual visits and alternative visits like window visits. And I know it was a scary time for everybody, whether you're a facility, a handler, or staff at Pet Partners. We were all very, apprehensive about what this would mean. I would love for you girls to tell us what your first impressions were when you realized how COVID, when COVID really became a thing that was going to impact what you did on a regular basis. What were your first impressions?
Well,
Diane, go
first, of course, we went through 2 weeks of shock, but after that, I think what our local group looked at was the opportunities. I mean, you can look at the glass half empty, or you can look at the glass half full. And change is always an opportunity to do things differently. And that's what we decided to do.
And I think in the beginning, we suspended our program on March 11, 2020. Our last visit was with a college. And at that point, we thought it would just be a few weeks. Nobody really knew. And so we started to think, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? But it quickly changed into what can we do? And I think communication was key. Communication with Pet Partners National helped a lot because you were always telling us what you thought your direction could become. But more important, with our handlers, our facility partners, I think they were so sick of my emails. We were constantly in touch. How are you doing? Are you well? What can we do to help? And let's brainstorm what we can do for our community partners.
That's great. So you guys had a very proactive approach after the initial shock. I think that we all had that initial shock for sure. And, but it feels like all the way around, everybody jumped in and started thinking, about doing things in a different way. You two are here with us today because you came up with some really creative ways to stay connected. So we want to learn more about that. So Sue, why don't you go first?
I think in the beginning, we said, how can we stay in touch with people? And I started making videos. I've made 120 videos simulating visits, but more important about our animals and the topics that we discussed when we were with our clients. And then we did things like videos about quarantine fatigue. How did the animals feel through this? And they were used in our facilities. We did coloring pages. We did virtual visits naturally. I think the most important thing that came out of this, though, that will continue is we contacted some of our core facilities like Southern Hills Hospital and our memory care and said, how can we be there for your first responders? How can we be there for your staff? And we started doing shift change visits outside. And we would be outside the emergency room at 6 in the morning, 6 at night, as staff were coming in, they were leaving, and they allowed me to have any species I wanted out there. And it was so welcomed and so appreciated. And I think for my teams, they actually felt they were doing something still and making a difference. So we know that will continue, the shift change and being there for those who had to be there for everyone else.
Well, I can tell you, I come from the facility side of things. I managed a volunteer program at a hospital. And when we started our therapy animal program, one of the big surprises for us was how much the staff loved it and how much they just looked so forward. They knew what days the animals were coming and they looked so forward to it. So we were so excited at Pet Partners to see that you guys were able to support the staff in a way that, you know, maybe you hadn't even done before or thought about doing before. So that's definitely an example of something that can carry on now into the future too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So Diane, how about you?
Well, speaking of staff, our very first back in-person visit was an outdoor visit to the hospital in the Twin Cities that housed the majority of COVID patients. So it was an outdoor parade, and we were able to go around the facility a couple of times and wave and see the staff, and also, you know, just celebrate the work that they were doing. It was really, the patients couldn't come to the windows, but it was all staff focused. And you know, you don't realize, but there are some challenges with that kind of thing, because with COVID, all the buildings were closed. So if one of our teams had come from far away and the animal didn't need to use the bathroom, but the handler did, you know, you had a little bit of a challenge trying to figure out all the logistics, but it was very worth it. We also did a considerable number of videos like Sue, where we got our folks involved. Once a month, we did a video. The first one was International Kissing Day. So all of our animals got on and they tried to show their kisses and, you know, kind of just different ways, different songs. We did Halloween, and we ended up with probably, let's see, 100 plus videos on our YouTube channel. So, but these were all group videos, were Zoom related.
And I believe I saw that we have the link for, well, we had the link for Las Vegas, and we can add the link for your YouTube channel too. Is it North Star Therapy Pets? Therapy Animals?
Therapy Animals, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
on YouTube. So if we don't get the link on there, you just have to search North Star Therapy Animals. That would be interesting to see those videos.
Yeah, it was
That's great.
with the rabbits. Yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting.
And so what were some of the biggest hurdles when you all came up with these things to do? I know you said something about, you know, the most the most common thing, trying to figure out the logistics of having to, you know, use the restroom when you're out visiting, when you can't get in a building. I mean, those are things you just don't think about. What were some other hurdles? Or even, you know, what we heard a lot from handlers was, what do I do with my animal now? They're so bored. How do I keep them trained? How do I keep them interested when I can't take them anywhere? So let's talk about that a little bit. Sue, you want to start off with that?
I was very concerned for our team. We really are a tight-knit team, and a lot of my handlers were going through a personally very difficult time, naturally. But we did care about our animals. Mine loved to work. They work several days a week. So I partnered with the training center that we refer clients to and said, can I book time and do something just for our teams? We'll be socially distanced, we'll wear masks. And we did tricks classes and rally classes, and it was open to any team who wanted to come. And I think in those early days when we had nowhere we could go, that was critical to keeping everyone feeling value added, keeping their animals comfortable around other animals. And we had fun, and fun was missing for those few months in the beginning. It was difficult. I think I had just had a workshop, so I had a lot of people now that were in limbo that a year and a half later are first coming back now to be tested. But we stayed in touch. My newsletter kept on. We asked people, what do you want to do with your school? And they would be sending me what they're doing. So I think that is what kept us really going, and it kept our animals ready to return when they'd been off for so long.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Diane?
Well, our biggest hurdle was probably encouraging people to be brave about trying something different, even if it was outside and masked. And we had some good success with window visits. Here's an example. This is Casper. And you can see him very attentive to the window, and that's because we sprayed it with peanut butter.
Oh, it's a little bit blurry, but yeah, go ahead and talk about that. That's a great idea to do
that we, just got the little sprays, and the dog would lick the window, and everybody inside thought they were giving a big kiss. We also found little things where we could hang the window with a suction cup and have the animals play. I don't know if you saw in this picture, but we got little stands for the animals because you couldn't always reach the window.
Right.
So we did a lot with window visits, and we really saw, and they turned into somewhat parades and sometimes even outdoor visits early on in COVID. And last fall, facilities were letting visits happen outside. Of course, they wouldn't do it beyond October in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's an image of an outdoor reading option that we had. You could do it by megaphone. And, in this case, we were reading at a long distance.
I love this.
I love that.
But the other thing we did with reading, because so many of our teams were read teams and they missed that activity. And it's a little difficult to do it on video, although we did some of that. We got everybody involved in a book drive. This was Patty Anderson pulling together a book drive to donate books. And given that we had some challenges in Minneapolis last May in our inner cities, the book drive was focused on an inner city school, and our members could contribute books, take part, but not feel like they had to go in person. And at the same time, we also had some teams go there in person. I'm going to hold this up. And you can see how the books were given out, all the PPP that was used. You can see the young 5- and 6-year-olds coming out to read and actually visit the dogs. And the nice part about it is when the teams left, all of the children ran up to the fence and waved goodbye and said, please come back.
Oh.
Sadly, one of the little girls, that event took place on May 12th. Sadly, on May 18th, one of the little girls at that event was riding in the back of her car and eating a Happy Meal and was shot in the head, and 3 days later she died. So we felt that we were able to do something to make this little girl have some joy, even though it was sort of the end of her life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a tragic story. You just never know what impact you're going to make, and it might be, the last joyous thing, that whether it's in a memory care unit or a hospital or just like this situation. It's very sad. Well, I'm going to take a look at some of our comments here. It looks like a lot of people are still doing virtual visits, which is great. I'm so happy that people do understand the importance of any kind of interaction and contact. Let's see. Let's see. Some people are returning to regular visits, and like I said, we're seeing more and more of a request for in-person visits, and a lot of them, not so much hospitals, but a lot of assisted living homes, nursing homes, and those residential type places. I'm kind of surprised. I was a little taken back by that, but I think that they probably understand that their folks they've literally been cooped up for over a year now. So it's wonderful that they're able to get back in. The window visits are great, though. That was a great bridge to being able to get back in person, for sure. For them just to know that someone took time out to do something like that and go to that effort is huge. Let me take a peek. Okay, Kimberly and Philip Jackson, they are doing workplace well-being visits. That seems to be kind of one of the most popular things that's happening right now is the, workplace visits or visits for the staff, like you guys were talking about. It seems like when things started rolling back in and opening back up a bit, facilities were more comfortable with allowing their staff to interact with those visits even from a distance. I thought the reading that you did with the children was genius. To have that megaphone and project. I mean, that had to be so fun for those kids too. Very, very cool. So have you ladies done any in-person visiting? We have to get Mishka on here and let him talk.
He won't stop. Okay. Actually, Michigan wants to tell you that he was the first in-person visit at the airport last July 29th. So this was 3 months into. And the airport had a very nice program where each member went and there was a helper and there was hand sanitizer, a sink. Okay, that's enough. And there was... here, have some peanut butter spray. Okay, there you go. They had a hand sanitizer, a sink, and stanchions set so that people didn't crowd the animals, and we had a good opportunity to wash hands and make sure all the PPE was used. And that's been continuing. And what we find is instead of being crowded by a bunch of people at the airport, you can have a really nice quality interaction. So it's quality over quantity. And that's one of the things we are going to focus on going forward.
Right.
We tend to partner with a lot of mental health and behavioral health facilities. That's my specialty, with teenagers and active duty military, first responders. So we actually kept on a lot of in-person visits pretty early on. We did them very safely. We changed the room we were in and how we did it. But I'll tell you some of the interesting things, because I do work with teenagers at risk. They felt it was more important we be there somewhere, even if it was across the room, because we're the only session where they'll talk and share and open up. And after before a visit, I would send certain appropriate videos that were of the dog they're going to meet, one of my 3 usually. We were the first ones back in. And when I actually had an in-person visit just this week, I'll never forget, one of the kids said, "Is that the real Benny? That's the movie star. We get to meet the real Benny." And the staff said, "Benny's back." And I think we're going to continue. Before visits, I went to a school. I sent about 5 different videos, and they said, "We're going to meet the real dogs." And something good has come out of all of this. So we are mostly with our behavioral health. We're not doing patient visits in the hospital. I did go to a school. We set the protocols and parameters. They are very happy to work with what we feel as Pet Partners of Las Vegas is safe and doable. And we've had no pushback on that. But the greatest thing was my Benny was a star. Who knew?
I love that. I never even thought of that, but that would make a difference when they see them in pictures. And yes, yep, exactly.
I've donated over 400 or 500 of my children's books, and I have a Coco. My original love dog was Coco, and this is her toy. This is the virtual therapy dog all over town. So I don't know if you can see it. This is soft. It was made years ago for my real Coco, and I've donated about 400. So even though we're not there, they can say, pick a page, read about that animal, and maybe you'll get to meet them.
So can I chime in? something? Because I love your idea of the virtual. We also did a project on International Puzzle Day. What we learned is that puzzles have some of the same effects as therapy animals. They can lower your blood pressure. They can increase dopamine. They increase connections. And the nice part about that is, of course, a lot of care centers, that's an activity that people do. So we did a puzzle collection, and we got our members to deliver puzzles to 5 different locations. And then we sent them out again to facilities as a thank you. And then to get people even more involved, we had them create their own puzzles. They could, is this showing up? Put a picture of their animal in the center and send it into the facility where they normally visited. And so this would be the result.
Nice.
And they could send it as a gift. So that was our puzzling, falling to pieces project.
Mm-hmm. That's very creative. I love that. I love that. So now that you're kind of back in the facilities, anything else that's different other than, maybe increased awareness of and emphasis on hand sanitizing and PPE in some areas still? Anything else that you can think of that's different?
I think we've always done employee wellness with the official teams for a lot of places in town, but a lot of the employees were not working in their office. So if you only had 3 people in the office instead of the 300, we went for those 3 because they were really feeling the challenge. I think what was different for us was that we weren't together as a team very often. We do a lot of group activities. About 2/3 of our membership chose not to work for a while. The hardest thing for us, I think, was a lot of the animals that would have been their year and a half to transition to retiring, and they just stopped. So they didn't have that natural, let's do something different, let's slow down. We always had a lot of potlucks in our annual meeting, and we were not getting together. So communication, again, was key. We're very excited at the end of July, we'll have our annual meeting in person and our brunch celebration, and instead of 70 people, maybe we'll have 35 or 40, but we're very excited to do it because that really, a lot of people don't know each other. They go to different places. We have new teams that came on board that don't know anyone but the evaluators. So we're really excited. That, to me, that's the opening up that we were waiting for the most.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, we have somebody brand new. Jacqueline made a comment here that she's looking to start working with her younger cat, Soot, to get into the therapy pet field. And so I think that's kind of a great question to answer for our wrapping up a little bit here. If there's one thing that you could share with Jacqueline or any of the folks that are watching, to give them hope about returning to visiting in the future, because this has been a challenge. So what makes you feel hopeful and that you can share with our listeners, our viewers?
I think the thing I would like to share is, if you go forward and even before you test, try to find out if there's a local group of pet partners near where you live, and get involved with them, volunteer at evaluations if they're having live evaluations, even ask if you can shadow at their group visits. I know it's hard to shadow in some facilities that require a lot of registration, but there's a big opportunity right now to shadow and help and be involved. And that to me, I think what our organization learned for the first time is that group visits are a ton of fun. I know Sue's been doing them for a long time, and you get to see other facilities that you normally wouldn't visit, and you don't get stuck in the mold of, I only do hospice or I only do hospital.
There has to be a real energy that goes along with those group visits too, that make it so fun for everybody.
And maybe because we're in Las Vegas, we are the dog and cats and animals that do a lot of conventions and conferences, and that ceased. But we do a lot of group visits. I would say to anyone interested, just do it. this is the time. This is your time, because it is the most exciting time for us. We feel after all these years a new energy. We have new people interested, new facilities. Some may not come back to us for whatever reason, but every day I'm getting requests from new things we never thought to do. And I would say take that leap of faith. We've always offered as a benefit in Vegas, mentoring and shadowing, and anybody can come even before you take the workshop. You're welcome to see who we are and what we do. And just do it. Now can be a time. We're doing so many new things that we've included that we didn't do before. I'll never forget, we're the official dogs for all the colleges here. And they would line up outside the library for hours to come see our dogs. When we started doing the virtual, one of the students who came online said, I am so glad you did this because I never get a chance to go to the library. And we realized we're reaching so many more people through things we never, ever thought of doing. So stay interested, stay fresh. Don't close your ears to something and say, well, they're not touching the animals. We're touching them in other ways. So yes. I say don't give up. And really look into that. And Pet Partners was a big part of that. National, stay in touch with us, keeping us energized, because we had to energize everyone else. We thank you for that.
It's very easy. It's very easy to limit yourself in thinking, oh, this just isn't possible, but it is if you just open up a little bit. And you're right, there are some teams that were maybe close to retirement and decided this was going to be the end of their involvement in therapy animal visits, and that happens every year anyway. We have over 10,000 therapy animal teams, so we have this natural attrition, and then we have this new supply of people coming on board, and so that that's kind of a natural thing. It did amp up a bit because of COVID, so that is one thing that we've struggled with. Another thing that we've struggled with as an organization is meeting all of the requests and the demand for team evaluations. That has increased significantly over a month or 2 months ago. But one of the things that just know that we're working on resolving that, and it's getting better by the week or by the day, actually. One of the problems with holding evaluations is many of the facilities where evaluators were evaluating will not allow evaluations. They won't allow people in. So just so our audience, I know you girls know that, but so our audience knows, that's one thing that is becoming a struggle, or has been a struggle, and we're really working on that. We're working on expanding it. So hang in there with us. Jacqueline, you being a new team, if you find it difficult to find an evaluation, use the contact us link and let us help you with that. And have patience. The other thing to have patience with is we have this really good problem going on right now. We are so busy in the therapy animal program. I work in the registration area, and we're just inundated right now with renewals and registrations. And those are people who have been able to find an evaluation. So it's happening. It's just rolling along and coming along and getting better every day. And like I said, it really is a good problem to have. If you have any questions for us as we get ready to wrap things up, if you need to talk with us, we do have phone support hours from 10 to 1, Tuesday through Friday. I always say Thursday. Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 1 Pacific time. And that's either myself or Julia are on the phones to answer your questions. You can always use the contact us link. We look at those every single day. They may not get answered same day because we've got a whole lot of registration things going on, but we try and get to those as quickly as we can. Did you ladies want to say anything else as we wrap up?
Colleen, thank you for doing this.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
So enthusiastic about, there's a lot of pent-up demand out there, and you're right, we can all be very, very busy, and now's the time to spread our wings.
I want to thank everyone from Pet Partners, but also locally. We could not have resumed workshops, evaluations, training without the mother of a volunteer opening up her office to us, or one of the dog boarding facilities saying, I have no dogs here at 7 in the morning. Do you want to come in that early? The partnerships have opened up in areas I never would have thought of asking. because we don't like to ask. Our hospital, we're even back doing a workshop in our hospital. They gave us a conference room we never used before. So a lot of good has come out of this. And the few teams that I've had that really consistently have shown up, been there, we couldn't do it without them.
Yes.
And it's showing the others, they want to be a part of us because they see that we enjoy each other, we're having fun, we're making a difference, making an impact. And that's why we do this. That's why we volunteer.
That's
They
wonderful.
want to be such a part that they've shown up for this Facebook Live.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, that is truly ending on a message of hope, which is wonderful. And I thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences. And I know that you'll just keep on pushing forward and promoting therapy animal visits in your areas and beyond.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you for everything you do for Pet Partners.
Thank you.